everybody, and welcome to another edition of Proline. This is the NBA version, where we'll be looking at what's going on in the association. And here to do it, Big Al McMordie from Big Al Sports, Jim Feist, world champion handicapper from Jim Feist Sports, of course. Also from Jim Feist Sports, it's John Creighton. My name's Dave Cokin. Before we get to anything, we got some good stuff to look over as far as the NBA is concerned. A terrific game on Friday and some thoughts on NBA Playmakers. But before we do that, let's tell you what we've got going this weekend. And, Jim, I want to start with you because this is huge. Your single biggest play of the entire season in college basketball will happen this Saturday.
Well, it is, Dave, and I'm coming off some big plays. I had a really huge play in personal elite with Miami of Florida over North Carolina, 7.5-point chalk, wins by 26 points. Easy win. I expect the same thing again this week with my 2013 college basketball game of the year. It's $100 online, but just $25 with a guarantee. Winner the rest of the college season is free on me through April 8th. 1-866-841-1655. Again, that's $25 with a guarantee. Win or the college season is free on me through April 8th. 1-866-841-1655. Make the call and be sure, if you want winners every day, text WINNER, WINNER, to 313131, and we'll send you free plays each day right to your cell phone. Dave?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's worth getting those free plays. They win, and the cost is zero. So it's something to take advantage of. I can proudly point out that my free plays last year was documented. Roughly 80 games in the plus column. So far this year, 2013, 27 and 22. There's one every day. And all you need to do is text Cokin, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131, and you get back the free play via text message. Real easy. Just read it, play it, win it. Now, there are also games that are worth paying for, and I would put my under-the-hat plays in that classification. This Saturday, I've got a pair. It's a parlay. I think you tie them together and go for broke. Or not go for broke, that's a bad term, but go for the jugular because they're good games. And I think you get a great chance to cash two big winners here. In fact, I'm going to guarantee that you go 2-0, or you're going to get a full week of personal service plays at no cost whatsoever. And the cost to get these two games, it's only $10. So it's a minimal investment with a chance for a maximum return. Take advantage of it now. Call 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. Go 2-0 guaranteed with these under-the-hat plays for only $10. Al, it has been a big role for you. Fortune 500s. I mean, this is, you never get tired of talking about these because when you put a lot of work into getting these big plays and they produce, it's worth bragging about them. And they've been dynamite lately. Last two weekends have been absolutely huge. What do you got going this weekend?
The Fortune 500 Club plays, they go for $500. There's a reason why, because they win, and clients are more than happy to pay, $500. In fact, $500 is cheap when all these plays do is win. 5-1 on our club plays 2 Saturdays ago, including another high roller Fortune 500 Club release on the Hops to Pride last Saturday. More of the same. We were 4-2, a Fortune 500 Club winner on Air Force. This weekend it's Bracket Busters, and I've got all the Bracket Busters in my database. I know what situations to look for. I'm going to have a 5-play countdown for Saturday, including another Fortune 500 Club play. That will be sold for $500 online, but the first 100 callers can get all 5 plays for just $20. Plus, if you sign up early, there's a bonus TV winner going tonight. So that's 6 plays for just $20, less than $4 a winner. Call toll free 866-841-1665. That's 866-841-1665.
John, I want to get you involved here in, let's see how deep your knowledge of completely useless basketball information goes. Big Al mentioned the Hofstra Pride. The Hofstra Pride. They are now known as the Pride. Apparently, they fell into the political correct forum a few years back and changed their team nickname. What was the previous nickname of the Hofstra Pride, John?
Hofstra Delaware Blue Hens. No, I don't know that one.
No, they're not. They were the Does anybody know? It was the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, that's right.
Flying Dutchman. Apparently this was politically incorrect to some level. I don't know why. I'm not
Just the fighting Irish is okay, but the Flying Dutchman, you can fight, but you can't fly, right?
I don't know what was insulting about that, to be quite honest, but they did change it a few years ago to the much more mundane Pride. I think they should go back to Flying Dutchman. By the way, they also were a better basketball team when they were the Flying Dutchman. So, for what it's worth, guys, in Hofstra, up in beautiful West Hempstead, go back to the other nickname. It was more colorful, and you were a better team. Okay, NBA notes.
Welcome to our politically correct nonsense.
Well, there you go. You know what I think of political correctness.
Yeah, me too.
I want to talk about NBA Playmakers this week. Derrick Rose is still not back. Rondo's out for the year. But it's not like the NBA is lacking great playmakers. Let's talk about some of them. John, you marked down somebody you want to talk about, who I think it's safe to say is a bit under the radar as far as the national picture is concerned. But he's having a hell of a year out in Denver, isn't he?
Yeah, I'll look at Ty Lawson, and it's more of he's been a terrific player, but also how George Karl utilizes the two guards they have. It's very much under the radar. He's 10th in the NBA in assists. The kid's only 25 years old, so his best years are definitely ahead of him. And look what he's done the last 3 games: 28 points, 9 assists, and that's similar to the month of February. He's averaged 21.3 points, 9.2 assists, 2 steals per game. I mean, the kid does it all. And Denver has quietly moved up to the number 5 seed in the West. They're so good on offense, 3rd in the NBA, and scoring 3rd in assists. And when you combine Andre Miller off the bench, 5.8 assists per game, what George Karl does is he runs at opponents with 2 above-average guards. And I like that style. We saw it this week when the Celtics came to town right after the break. It was a close game much of the way, and then Denver at home pulled away late. It's very tough for defensive teams to keep up with that attacking style, and I think Ty Lawson is a huge part of what George Karl's success in Denver right now.
Well, certainly a huge part of Vinny Del Negro's success, which still sounds like it's words that don't belong together somehow, but it's been a good year for the Clippers, and the primary reason has been Chris Paul. We saw the Clippers not nearly as efficient when he went out for several games, and Bledsoe was okay for the first couple, but they really caught up to him. Chris Paul is, in my opinion, the second most valuable player in the league this year. We'll talk about the most valuable in a moment. I don't think there's much question about that. But he's been absolutely great. Tremendous weekend as far as the All-Star stuff is concerned. And this is all legitimate on Paul. I mean, look, he just puts the other opponent on its heels defensively. You never know what he's going to do. He's got that, he just break your ankles with some of the moves he's got. And since he came back from the injury, he's picked right up where he left off. The only difference is not playing as many minutes. Might not be the worst idea in the world to cut his minutes back a little bit anyway. You want him fresh at playoff time. The Clippers have no chance whatsoever in the NBA playoffs if Paul is weary or banged up. That's how valuable he is on that team. Al, your favorite team's the Spurs. And this guy just goes along like, I guess you could call him Old Man River at this point because he's getting up there in years, but he's actually getting better as he gets older. Tony Parker is a more complete player now than he ever was.
He really is, and I've watched this kid since he was a fresh-faced 18-year-old, coming out of France, and he's gotten better every single year, which is hard to do. I mean, especially when you're playing at an all-star level as he was, 5 or 7 years ago. And a lot of players top out once they become the all-star. He adds something to his game every single year. It wasn't that long ago that Tony Parker was told by the coaching staff, don't shoot a 3. He was one of these kids, like all these kids, he wanted to shoot 3s. He thought his 3-point shot was a lot better than it was. Well, they reworked it. Chip England, the shooting coach, worked with Tony, and Tony now is a very proficient 3-point marksman. He can shoot 40% from 3, which just is another, thing for his game. He already was one of the best in the league at scoring at the rim, for which is impressive for a 6-foot, point guard to lead the league in field goal percentage, at the rim. and now he can shoot a three-pointer as well. He can do the floater in the lane. There's nothing he can't do. And unlike Chris Paul, Tony Parker is not only asked to lead this team in assists, he's also leading it in scoring. And he's one of only 2 players in the NBA this season with multiple 30-point and 10-assist games, and he's done it 3 times. James Harden is the only other player to do it more than once, and James Harden has done it twice. Against Sacramento on Tuesday, Parker had 30 points, 11 assists, 3 steals. On the still going on rodeo road trip, Parker is averaging 29 points per game, 9 assists per game, and just 2.5 turnovers. I would not be surprised to see Parker finish as high as 3rd in this year's MVP voting. Last year he was 5th. This year he'll be at least 4th, if not 3rd.
Well, he won't be first. We're talking about NBA playmakers, so you think point guard when you're talking playmakers, but this guy's doing everything right now. It doesn't scoring, rebounding, assisting. I think he sells tickets and concessions as well. I mean, absolutely amazing what LeBron James is doing right now, Jim. It's some of the best basketball we will ever see anybody play.
LeBron is the only forward on this list. 28 years old, 6'9", 250 pounds. I mean, this is a horse. He gets the ball, handles the ball well, comes down the lane. Who wants to get in his way? I mean, it's a nightmare for everybody in the league. This guy was amazing in school, in high school, in grade school. He signed big contracts with Nike before he even graduated, I believe. Cleveland, he carried the team. Look how bad that team has been since he left. It was amazing. Now, maybe he was a little too mature to be a team leader and to take them to a championship. He certainly did fall apart in some games in Cleveland, especially at the end. But he was basically a boy. And now he's grown into a man. He's a clutch player. He's a fantastic player. It's a remarkable run. For the month, he's averaging 30 points a game, 69% from the field, along with 6.6 rebounds, 6.0 assists. It's absolutely remarkable what LeBron James has turned into. Best player in the league for my money. Definitely most valuable player.
I don't even think there's a discussion at this point. There's some great players in the league, but this guy's he's at a level by himself right now. We're going to get to the Spurs and Warriors in just a moment, but before we do that, let's check in with our man on the street, Jeff Sott from LVSS. He's been on a really big rampage in college and pro hoops. I think it's 39, 16, and 2 on the last 57 plays. That's better than 70%. Jeff, what do you got this weekend?
Thanks, David. Free play coming up. First, LVSS has been on a 39, 16, and 2 run, 71%, 19, 5, and 1 in the NBA, 20, 11, and 1 in college. Get aboard through June, college and the NBA. 12 weeks of action for just $49. It will include a college conference game of the year going Saturday on 3 and 1 with games of the year. Just call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916. Your free play is Saturday in the Big East. Georgetown at Syracuse, a pair of powerhouse defenses, ranked number 2 and 4 in the conference in points allowed. Syracuse is tops in field goal shooting defense, 37%. Georgetown is second, allowing 37.6%, and the Hoyas prefer a slow tempo. The under is 5-2 in the Hoyas' last 7 versus a team with a winning straight-up record. Syracuse is also tops in three-point shooting defense using Jim Boeheim's 2-3 zone, and the under is 6-2 with the Orange last 8 versus a team with a winning straight-up record. These teams played once last year, a 64-61 Syracuse win, but it was in overtime, 55-55 in regulation. Georgetown shot 33%, the Orange just 35%. Syracuse won despite being dominant on the glass, 52-35. A problem last year, but not this season. Look for a slow-paced game. Play Georgetown and Syracuse to stay under the total on Saturday. Once again, get aboard through June, college and the NBA. 12 weeks of action for just $49. It will include a conference game of the year going Saturday. Call the LVSS at 1-866-575-8916. Back to you, Dave.
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff. Appreciate the contribution as always. Well, Al, your team, the Spurs, and of course it doesn't matter whether your team or not when it comes to handicapping, and that's when the fan stuff goes out the window, and you have to look at it from an unbiased point of view. They're at Oakland this Friday to face the Golden State Warriors. Let's talk about that game.
Well, what's making this slightly difficult for us is we're recording this before the Spurs take the court Thursday night against the Clippers. And You know, this game against the Clippers on Thursday is the Spurs' biggest game in an awfully long time. They've already lost twice to the Clippers. You know, the Spurs, let's take a look at some of their statistics, because I think people need to really take a step back and reflect on just how good this team is. I think people sell this team a bit short when they say, you know, they're kind of like off the cuff, well, they've lost a lot. They flamed out the last 2 years in the postseason. Well, there are pretty good reasons why. You know, I don't think that really takes away from what this team has done. You know, going back to January of last year, San Antonio is now 91-23, their last 114 games. That includes postseason. 91-23 straight up, 79.8%. Even more impressive, against the spread in those 114 games, San Antonio 70-39 against the spread with 5 pushes, including 16-8 against the spread when they're playing without rest. That used to be one of their bugaboos. They used to do terribly when they were unrested. Not anymore. They're 16-8 when playing without rest. The only real weak spot for this team, when you want to try to, you know, nitpick with this record, is when they go up against really good teams. You know, teams with a 680 or better record, as they will be Thursday night against the Clippers. In that situation, during this hot streak, they're 6-10 straight up and 5-11 against the spread. But if they're facing an opponent with a win percentage less than 680, they're 85-13 straight up and 65-28 against the spread with 5 pushes. That's going to be the situation Friday. Golden State, you take a look at this team. They were the feel-good story of the year for much of the year, but now their defense is really letting them down. You know, if you go back to the start of the new year, the Warriors' defensive rating has crumbled to 107.7. That would be good for 28th in the entire league out of the, you know, 30 teams if it was their full season record. So they're just not playing any defense at all right now. San Antonio, as we know, they make you pay if you don't play defense. All San Antonio does is move the ball. It's relentless from side to side. They have, you know, I mean, all 5 players in constant motion, and if you don't play defense, San Antonio finds the weakness. It might take them 2 sets to find it, but they'll find it, and that's what makes them a great team. So Golden State is part of the reason why Golden State has lost 16 straight to the San Antonio Spurs. I may end up taking Golden State depending on the number, depending on if San Antonio avenges that loss against the Clippers on Thursday night. But I tell you, if I take Golden State, it'll be kicking and screaming.
John, are you going to be kicking and screaming with either side of this game?
Well, you know, we know what the San Antonio Spurs are, but really, what are the Golden State Warriors, or who are they? I mean, are they the team that surprised and overachieved for most of the first half of the season, or are they the stumbling frauds that we saw running into the break, getting torched defensively? I'm going to side for the fact that they are a pretty good team that should make the playoffs. I think they'll get back to playing some good defense. I mean, I love the offense. You get Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson leading the team in scoring. 24 and 23 years old. You can't do it with just guys like that on offense, though. You need some guys playing grunt work and grabbing rebounds and playing the physical game. Well, they have that with David Lee and Carl Landry up front, both 29 years old. A little bit undersized, though, at 6'9". But still, the defensive numbers really supported how overachieving this team was in the first half. I mean, look, they were 6th in the NBA in field goal shooting defense, 5th in the NBA at defending from beyond the arc. That was a problem before this season. But you have to give Coach Mark Jackson a lot of credit. He demanded better defense from this team, and they delivered until coming up to the All-Star break when they really got smoked. One of the players said, look, we were exhausted having played 11 games in 19 days, 8 of them on the road. So I'm going to kind of give them a pass on what they did before the break. And both teams are going to have to play defense. San Antonio underrated defensively. And here's why. You got a Golden State team that's number 1 at shooting the three-pointer. Well, the Spurs are right behind at number 4 at 38%. So both teams are going to need to play great defense beyond the arc, or they're going to get torched. And look at some of the trends. When the Warriors play a team with a winning record, 18-7-1 under the total. The Spurs, very similar, 8-5 under the total with a team with a winning record. So I think you're going to see a little more defense than you might expect, and probably a lower scoring game too.
The problem is, as I see it for Golden State, is they might still be exhausted. That was the issue for them going into the All-Star break. Well, first of all, some of their star players didn't really get the weekend off because I think they had 3 guys who were involved in a lot of the All-Star festivities. So there's the best players in the team didn't really get the time off. Then they come out of the All-Star break. They play on Tuesday, and they get wiped out by Utah. It was really never a game. They have to play again on Wednesday against Phoenix. And now they're playing again on Friday. So I don't know that the Warriors are going to be any more rested than they were before the All-Star break. I think this is a team in real trouble right now. They still got a pretty good record overall, but they look to me to be a team that could fade all the way out of the playoffs in the second half if they don't figure out how to get some stops. And it just doesn't look to be there right now. I mean, Curry is a wonderful offensive player, but he doesn't guard real well. Klay Thompson is certainly more of an offensive player than the other side. David Lee has always been a much better offensive player than the other side. I think they're going to have to get more out of Landry, who at least has the ability to defend a little bit. The Spurs, despite the fact this is back-to-back with the Spurs, I think they know how to handle it better. And I think I'm going to side with San Antonio in the game. Golden State right now looks to me to be monster fade material. Now, the caveat on that is, again, we're taping this before the Wednesday game is played. If they snap their streak on Wednesday and get a win, maybe then you can take a look at backing that down. But I got to tell you something. If they had another bad game against Phoenix, and the form chart says they should beat Phoenix, but that we don't know what would happen there. I got to tell you, if the Warriors are still in the losing streak coming into this game, I think they'll stay on the losing streak against San Antonio. I think either way, I'm probably going to side with the Spurs in this game, even with the Spurs coming out of that big game against the Clippers, Jim.
Actually, I look at it a little differently, Dave. I mean, I see the Warriors, both these teams have played more road games than they have home games. And the Warriors are significantly better at home. And when you have the Spurs playing that big revenge situation against the Clippers on Thursday and then coming up here to play the Warriors on Friday, I think that's a significant advantage to Golden State. No, they normally don't beat the Spurs. Of course, not too many teams do, unless you're one of the top clubs like Al mentioned. But looking at a little situation here with the Spurs on the road again, off a big game against the Clippers, I think it's a great spot for the Warriors to bounce back with a little bit of an effort and maybe not win the game but cover the game. They are a winning team overall throughout the season and definitely playing at home, 16-7 at home, on the season. I like the Warriors in this spot to at least keep it close.
All right, well, look at best bets and remind everybody as to what we've got coming up this weekend. John, how about your best bet first this time?
Sure. Spurs Wizards under the total. These teams last met January 18th. The total was 202, 95-88. San Antonio won at home. Both teams brought their best defense, and I can see that happening again on Friday night. Spurs Warriors under the total, less scoring than odds makers expect.
Al, the Fortune 500s are on a monster roll. I got a feeling this one won't fall into if you're talking about this game, it won't fall into the Fortune 500 category, yeah. But something will this weekend, that's for sure. And it's part of a monster 5-play countdown.
Yeah, and actually 6 plays that people call early and get the TV winner going tonight. But the 5 plays on Saturday, it's Bracket Buster weekend. I always do tremendous in Bracket Busters. I've got all the data in my database going back to the start of the Bracket Buster tournaments. And these Fortune 500 Club plays, Dave, 2 weekends ago, Hofstra, last week, Air Force, they go for $500 online, and all they do is win. And I'm going to put this in this 5-game or 6-game package and call early. First 100 callers only, though, and you can get all the winners for just $20. Call toll free, 866-841-1665. That's 866-841-1665. For my best bet here, I think I'm going to, kind of go off the grid a bit, and my best bet is going to be the under in a college basketball game. I'm going to take the Michigan State-Ohio State game to go under the total. Thad Matta extremely upset at his team's lack of defense. Last weekend against Wisconsin, they gave up 71 to the Badgers. I expect Thad Matta for at least the next week or two to get his Buckeyes to play very strong defense. And I think the situation, especially against Michigan State, is one where the game is going to go under the total. And the first meeting between the two teams was extremely low scoring. I look for the rematch in Columbus also to be low scoring. I like that ball game under the total is my best bet.
I'm very anti-Golden State right now. I understand the situation here might actually favor them. And I'll go back to a game last week, and I had a big play in this game and got my lunch handed to me. The Warriors were playing the... Yes. I was all over this spot. If you remember going back 2 weeks, Golden State really got humiliated by Houston. In fact, the Warriors had to resort to fouling in the game so the Rockets didn't break some three-point record against them. It was an embarrassing performance at every level by Golden State, and they've got a chance for revenge against Houston the next week at Oakland. They played really well for the first quarter and then got absolutely run off the court by the Rockets for the next 3 quarters. I think Golden State's a bad basketball team right now that's lost its way. It doesn't have the leadership, and this is where the fact they've got a young head coach, Mark Jackson's second year. I think there's potential there to be terrific, but he's not a veteran coach, and I don't think there's a lot of veteran leadership on the team. David Lee is their veteran guy, but I've never looked at Lee as a leadership type of guy. I think he's more of a complimentary piece. I think this is a team that's a mess right now, and despite the fact the Spurs are in a tough scheduling situation, boy, if you're asking me about a team that can handle an adverse situation, it doesn't look like it's Golden State. It absolutely has never bothered San Antonio. The Spurs have veteran leadership. Nothing phases them. So I think San Antonio, despite the fact that it's a bad scheduling spot, will win this game at Golden State. If you want to win this weekend, it's real easy. I've got an under-the-hat parlay. I'm going to guarantee these 2 games. I've got to get the money, or you're going to get a full week of my service at no cost. And I'm only going to charge $10 for both games. Do it now. Make the call to 1-866-896-1629. And, by the way, if you call today, because obviously the 2 under-the-hat plays don't go till Saturday, but if you call today, you're going to get a free bonus under-the-hat play tonight. So it's a chance to be playing with house money for this parlay on Saturday. $10, 1-866-896-1629. Don't forget your daily free plays on a text message. Print your cell phone. Just text Cokin, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131. Jim, I need to find out what this game is. College basketball game of the year. You've had a really good run on the big plays. So, it's definitely a play. If you're serious about making money, this is a game you've got to have this weekend. It's as simple as that.
Well, I've been running hot with my big plays, Dave, and as a favor to you, it's $100 online, but for most people, but I'll charge you $200.
Nice.
But if you call 1-866-841-1655, you can have it for $25 with a guarantee. Win or the rest of the college season is free on me. That's through April 8th. That's 1-866-841-1655. I'm going to go off the reservation a little bit. I played poker with Jerry Buss a couple of tournaments in 2005, 2007. He was a great guy, a very classy guy. Had a lot of fun conversations with him, and he'll be missed in the poker world, the sports world. And condolences go to his family, his friends, and of course all the Laker team. I look for the Lakers to step up and start playing some basketball now that the break is over, and with a little pride, get themselves together and make a run. Maybe it's for Jerry. Who knows? But on Friday, they play Portland, a team that they managed to beat most of the time when they play them at home. Portland is only 1-7 in their last 8 road contests. Look for Dwight Howard to be a little bit more rejuvenated after the rest. I look for the Lakers to really pound Portland on Friday. That would be my best bet. And again, condolences to Jerry Buss and all his friends and family.
All right, guys, great offers this weekend. We think there's some good opportunities to make some real money, so take advantage of them. We'll come back next week with both the college and pro edition of Proline. Until that time, for Big Al McMordie, Jim Feist, John Creighton, I'm Dave Cokin. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you win a lot this weekend. See ya.
Thanks, guys.